back again with another tag. This time it's the Extraordinarily Average Tag, which was created by David. That's all I have down here is David. So I'm assuming since I didn't use the channel name, it has to be David Wiley. And I'll have his channel linked down below. I was originally tagged by Gareth. However, some other people tagged me after that, but it's been a month now, and I just can't remember who else tagged me in this. So I'm sorry to those of you who tagged me that I won't have you linked in my description. But the first prompt is, what is a book that is viewed as average, but you felt was extraordinary? So that was a very easy pick for me. And that is The Anomaly by Michael Rudger. This is a 5-star read for me. I love this book. It's a friendship story, essentially. It's about this group of people who have created and produced a YouTube channel that investigates strange phenomena, beings, mythical, legendary beings and events and objects. And they go out and look for these things to see what they can find. And then, of course, they record it and put it up on YouTube. And this group of people have grown very, very close, and they're very good friends. And I don't usually like friendship stories at all. It usually doesn't come off well for me. I don't usually believe in the friendships, but in this instance, I loved the friendship that between this group. It's wonderful. It's just, and they go through some pretty horrifying things in this book, and it just really brings them closer together. It bonds them closer together. And the two sort of lead characters, I guess you'd call them, are Noel and Ken. And Noel and Ken have been friends for longer than the rest of them. And Ken is just a, sort of gruff, overweight, smoking, smoker, alcoholic, snarky, smart-alecky kind of guy. And he gives Noel a lot of guff. But he also imparts a lot of wisdom to Noel that Noel could absolutely use. And I really, really loved the way that this author phrases all of Ken's, advice. It's very down to earth and very simply stated, but also incorporates Ken's particular brand of snarky humor. So I loved that. The dialogue in this book, even outside of that particular aspect, is phenomenal. I loved the conversations. They were extremely believable and realistic to me. Just loved it. And the characters themselves were fantastic. I loved the characters, every one of them. Even the one you don't like, you still end up liking. So the other thing I really liked about this book is it's the anomaly that they are investigating is based on a real sort of urban legend type of thing. And the author went to the trouble of, you see all my green tabs in the top there? He incorporates into the book pieces from Noel's file. And of course, Noel is a fictionary character and this is a fictionary file. But what he does is he takes things from real life, like news articles, magazine articles, interviews, letters, pictures, paintings, etc., and incorporates them into the book as if they came from Noel's file. So here's an image of an article. And it's a real article. Those things are all from real life. An article that was published in the Phoenix Gazette, which was a magazine that is of course no longer in print. But I really liked that. It lent some immersion to the book that otherwise wouldn't have made it feel as real. So yeah, I just thought this was a really exceptional book, but I think anybody else reading it is going to feel like it's an average book, but I really loved it. It was a 5-star for me. Who is an author who is viewed as average, but you felt was extraordinary? So for me, that's Hal Clement, as I'm sure any of you that watch me regularly are going to guess. So most readers feel that Hal Clement was average. He wasn't like the most popular science fiction author ever. I think that other science fiction writers of his day were well aware of his particular brand of what I feel is genius. He wrote hard science fiction, and he really details out all of the science behind what he's portraying in his books. And I love that. That is my favorite thing about any science fiction, is when the author can successfully make you believe in the science that he's portraying. And Hal used to go to great extremes to do this. I mean, the man was breaking out a slide rule, for goodness sakes. Making real life math calculations just to give his books the most realistic feel possible. So I just love Hal, but I'm going to show you some of my favorites by him. So we have Ocean on Top, which I love the cover of this. This was the very first Hal Clement book that I ever read. Then we have Close to Critical, which is another favorite of mine. And I really like the cover of this edition. Then we have Intuit, which is in this really small hardback, which is crazy. So this is an old book club edition, and look at the size. This is even smaller than that, but it's not small enough. You know, there are other little hardbacks that I have that are the size of mass market paperbacks. It's bigger than that, and then of course it's also bigger than the pocket size hardback. So this was just the most odd size of hardback I've ever come across. So anyways, Intuit, and then we have Still River, and I really love the cover of this one. Okay, let's see what's next. Who is a musician or band whose music is considered average but you felt was extraordinary? So I have two answers for this. My first one is Frente, and I'll put the cover of my favorite album right here for you. I actually do have this on CD, but I couldn't find it. It's probably in my storage unit because I don't even have a CD player. I just hang on to my CDs for nostalgia. Frente is a band that was not popular in the US. They had, as far as I know, only one hit ever called Bizarre Love Triangle, and it was a cover. But their music, they didn't just do covers. They wrote their own music. So I don't know why that was chose to be the one and only song that they released in the United States as a single. That was just weird. But the album came out in 1992 in Australia, and it was released in the United States in 1994. And that's when I bought it, was in 1994. But some highlights from that album are the songs Lonely, Girl, and Extraordinary Angels. And the reason I like those songs is because, A, I love Angie Hart's voice. Beautiful, wonderful voice, and it's an unusual voice, and it's a bit quirky. I absolutely love her voice. And then plus the lyrics of those three songs are exceptional in my opinion. And then another one I really like off that album is Most Beautiful. Actually, you know what? Most Beautiful might not be on Marvin the album. No, it is. It's on Marvin. It's Most Beautiful, and I love that song because Angie Hart's voice, of course, plus the wonderful lyrics. But in the song, there's like part of the chorus where she says, beat, 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 imitating a heartbeat. And when she's singing beat, beat, there's a piano in the background also imitating the beat of a heart. And it's just beautiful. I just really, really like that. And then the other exceptional song on this album, I mean, they're all good, but these were my favorites, is Labor of Love. And not only the lyrics plus Angie Hart's voice, but also I really liked the acoustic guitar in that one. And also they have a flute in that one. And I actually played the flute all through elementary and junior high. I didn't keep playing it in high school because there was no stage band for flutes. They only had marching band for flutes, and it was required that we show up to play for the football games on Friday nights. And, you know, I had better things to do with my time than go to a stupid football game. I hated sports. So I just didn't take band in high school. I kind of regret that I didn't keep up playing it. I still have my flute and everything, and I still remember like the scales and stuff, but I probably can't play anymore. Let's see. And then the other musical artist that I need to absolutely must mention is Dar Williams. I absolutely love Dar Williams. She is not popular at all. I don't even know that she's ever had a song on the radio. But she is more of a folk type of music. And all of her songs, she tells stories in her songs. They all have a rich story to them. I absolutely love that. And so she has like a greatest hits type of CD called Many Great Companions. And the two songs that are on that I really, really like are If I Wrote You. Beautiful, heartbreaking song. I absolutely love that. It's fabulous. It makes you think of being up in a cabin out in on some snowy mountain. It's beautiful. And then the other one that I thought was exceptional on that collection of songs is The Babysitter's Here, which essentially tells a story about this girl who is talking about a babysitter that she had, and the babysitter's a teenager, and she goes through all the things that the babysitter taught her, and her observations about the babysitter. And then the end of the song just breaks your heart. Like, the first time I ever heard it actually made me cry, the ending of that song. It was so good. So yeah, those are two considered average, but I find exceptional musical artists. And then what is a TV show or movie that is considered average, but you felt was extraordinary? Okay, so you guys are going to totally laugh at me, because everybody that I know of who has seen this show hates it. They just hate it. And those who don't hate it think it's all right. I think it was absolutely fabulous, and I will tell you why. But that is Lex. So I have the complete series here, of course, because it's one of my favorite shows ever. I love it. But yeah, so this show is absolutely silly and campy. But it has lots of snarky humor, which is something I always love. It has phenomenal characters, and I'm a sucker for really good characters. Plus, it is original. You hardly ever see any kind of a story, especially in science fiction, where you are getting an original universe, an original world, original creatures, or in this case, aliens. You're getting a lot of originality is happening in this. And as silly as it is, there's also sexual innuendo happening in this story. So some people could find it offensive. I do not. But even the sexual innuendo is done in a creative manner. So I just felt like it's exceptionally creative and original program. And I just absolutely love it. I watch it about every 6 or 7 years. I'm actually due for another rewatch of this, but I probably won't for a few more years. But I've watched this like 4 or 5 times, and I absolutely love it. Okay, the next prompt is, what is a booktube channel whose subscriber count is average, but you feel is extraordinary? Well, that's almost everybody I subscribe to. But I thought I would mention some channels that I really, really enjoy and watch all of their videos, but have never mentioned on my channel before, or at least I don't think that I've mentioned any of them on my channel before. So the first one I'll talk about is Brian MR. I love Brian MR. He does not get in front of the camera, so you just always see his hand and his books. And I just like Brian because not only does he talk about interesting books, he reads almost exclusively nonfiction. At least that's what he talks about on his channel. And they're all interesting books. He's always reading something interesting or has picked up something interesting. But he just really seems, he just gets in there and talks about his books. He doesn't go through a lot of fanfare. He's not one of these people who's like yelling at you in your face, you know what I mean? And he just seems like the kind of guy that you could just sit down and talk to and be really, really comfortable with, you know? So I really like Brian's channel, and I watch all of his videos. Another booktuber I really enjoy is J. Scott Phillips. I fully expect his channel to take off like Michael K. Vaughan's did at some point. His videos are so good. They're so well done. But he was an art director or something like that. And when he talks about a book cover, he points out all kinds of things about the art that I never even would have noticed. And I'm like really into these old mass market paperback covers. So when he talks about these things, I'm absolutely enthralled by them. And also he talks about really interesting books. And he has interesting things to say about the artists, the authors, etc. So everything about his videos are just super interesting to me. Plus, I like his camera presence. He just has a very friendly, warm presence that I personally enjoy. And then Roy Reads Anything. I love Roy. He finds the most unusual books you never even heard of before, and reads crazy stuff. Like, I think one of the things he read one time was like an old instructional book for women on how to get jobs or something to that effect. Just really strange stuff. And I'm like, where is he finding all these weird books? But yeah, and he's also clever. And I really like his sense of humor. And I really like his intro. He's always holding up some sign with his channel name on it that's done on something strange. Like he had it on a cardboard box one time. And then Dr. Jenny made him a little, fancy sign to hold up one time. And I just really like him. He's a really fun channel. And then Wormberg Malcolm. Malcolm, I should say. He reads a lot of really interesting books, a lot of variety of books too, including like children's books. And I find everything he reads really interesting. I like his thoughts on these books. We have very similar tastes, especially in science fiction. Plus, he's a Firefly fan. A Firefly. Why do I always say that anytime I mention it? Firefly fan. And, you know, anybody who's a Firefly fan is going to be good for me. So anyways, I do not feel that Malcolm gets enough attention. He has a very low subscriber count and he doesn't get that many views. So you should absolutely go to his channel and check it out and subscribe to him. What is a skill you are average at, but you'd like to become extraordinary? Well, I would love to become extraordinary at woodworking. I would love to be able to build my own furniture from scratch and find old, you know, damaged furniture and revamp it or turn it into something more modern looking. The next prompt is you find a time machine that will take you back in time for a day, but the day you select must be an average day. Where would you go and what would you do to make the trip extraordinary? I know exactly where I would go. I would go to the day that the asteroid or comet hit the Earth and wiped out the dinosaurs. I want to see that day. I want to see that impact the Earth and what happened in that entire 24-hour period after the asteroid or comet hit Earth. I'm dying to see I'm dying to see all kinds of things that has to do with Earth and the solar system in general. But that day in particular, because of my whole paleontology kick, I would love to see that. You win a week vacation, but all of the popular travel spots are booked out. Where would you go and what would you do to make the trip extraordinary? Well, I would go to a very out of the way vacation spot called Cedar Crest Lodge. I will put a picture of some kind here for that place. It is a very small bed and breakfast type or tiny hotel or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know what to call it. But it's very small. They only have a handful of rooms. They make your meals for you. They're all gourmet meals. And they even have like an organic garden where they grow a lot of their own fruits and vegetables for their meals. They have a swimming pool. Each room is decorated entirely differently, and they come in different sizes. Some of them even have hot tubs in them. I would not take one of those rooms. I don't like hot tubs. And then it has a wooded area that you can walk around in with seating throughout. And the countryside all around the place is absolutely beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful. And I would love to take a suitcase full of books and spend an entire week there by myself. And that's all I'm doing every day is reading in all different places of the lodge area, the dining room, and the grounds. I would love to do that. And you know what? One of these days I am going to do that. And then tag some extraordinary channels. So this tag has been around a lot since I was tagged in it. So I'm not going to tag anybody. But if you have not yet done this tag, I think it's marvelous and you absolutely should.